I won't do rundowns. Hi, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're watching me live from. It's another beautiful Thursday afternoon in the city of Lagos, Nigeria, and I'm your host on the Talk with Peace live show. Okay, it's so good to have you all this beautiful Thursday afternoon, like I said, here in Lagos, Nigeria. If you're online joining me at this time, I'd like you to drop a comment in the comment box so that I can give you a shout out, okay? And this also sending a shout out to every one of my viewers who will be watching this video much later, who won't be live with me right now, but who will be watching much later. Oh, I'm so grateful to have you all in my life at this period. I want to thank you all who've been with me all these 9 weeks of running this show. It's not been an easy journey, but it's been an exciting one, actually. And I'm grateful. I'll do this over and over and over again. Thank you for joining me once again this beautiful Thursday. And as our manner is every other Thursday, we have a beautiful topic lined up for us today. And then we have a guest who is ready, geared up, ready to discuss all there is to discuss about this topic. Usually I do a rundown of all the topics we've done in the past 9 weeks, but they've actually built up quite a lot that I may not be able to give you a sequential rundown of all the topics that we've had. But I'm going to try and catch up on some of them. But I also like you to do me a favor. Go look out for Talk with Peace Live. Talk with Peace Live on Facebook. You'll see the videos of all that we've discussed in the past 9 weeks, in the past 8 weeks, today being the 9th week, okay? Okay, so like I always do on the show, I try to give a rundown. And in the first week, we had a guest on the show, Mrs. Funke Aluko. She did justice to the topic we titled Virginity Overrated. In the second week, we had Pastor Praise Imu Oji discuss with us on why do we need more churches in the world, in Nigeria? Why do we need more churches? In the third week, we had Mrs. Ese Ayebene, and she discussed with us on a topic we titled High Risk Incompatibility. And for that, we looked at communication as a cue to note, as a high risk incompatibility cue. In the fourth week, we had Mrs. Z Obi. Mrs. Z Obi discussed with us on dealing with multi-talented kids. Sometimes you have them handy in the house, running up and down, inventing things. And we're like, they are a handful and we don't know what to do with them. Okay, Mrs. Z Obi discussed with us on what we can do to harness those potentials to become skills that will be useful to our children in the long run. In the fifth week, we had Ike Michael, my brother. Ike Michael discussed with us on the topic we titled Entertaining to Please God. And he discussed with us on the role of Christian and entertainers and how one can hold their own in the entertainment industry, irrespective of the fact that their Christian life sometimes is called into question. Okay, and in the sixth week, we had Mrs. Oluronke Oluwalere. I'm doing a good job trying to remember all these topics. Okay, so Mrs. Oluronke Oluwalere discussed with us on identity crisis and mental health, where those two meet. Okay, your identity crisis, knowing yourself, knowing where to put a stop to some things that are calling for your attention and, trying to drive you crazy, and trying to maintain a balance in your mental health. Okay, and in the seventh week, we had our brother, Pastor Princeton Anyim. He came all the way from the United States of America on this show to discuss with us on purpose. And it was a beautiful, incisive discussion we had. If you've not seen any of these videos, I'd like you to look for Talk with Peace Live and do yourself a great deal of justice to download all the content of those videos and drop your comments on what you think about the videos, the sessions we've had in the past. Okay, I'd like to hear from you. Then last but not least, last week, Thursday, we had a beautiful time discussing with Mrs. Mojishola Adenike Akiremi, who discussed with us on sexuality, dealing with incompatibility, sexual incompatibility as couples. Okay. And since last week Thursday, my phone has not stopped buzzing. I'm not kidding you. People have been calling to share their contributions, some ask questions about the topic and some of the things we discussed. I actually had somebody, a young man, an unmarried person, who walked up to me and said, "Yeah, I saw your show, and then and you talked about incompatibility." There's nothing like incompatibility in a marriage. There's nothing like sexual incompatibility in marriage. That couples ought to have understood themselves and blah 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 blah. And I looked at him and I said, "Wait until you get into the marriage institution first. Then you will understand. When you get to the point where you have no other option than the one you have chosen, then come, let's talk. But before then, just hold on, hold it right there. Go back and listen to the video, okay, and then learn one or two things, okay." So on this, I'm going to dwell a little bit on that topic of last week, on last week's topic. Mrs. Mojishala did a great job. She did a great job. The feedbacks have been crazy. She did a great job on that topic, even though we did not have so much time for her to deal with some of the things that she would want to deal with. And then she had a book that she also advertised on the show last week, Sex Sincerely. And that book is on Amazon. I'd like you to look for last week's video. You find the link of that book on last week's video on Amazon. Okay, and then do yourself a great deal of favor. Download the book, buy it from Amazon, read, digest, send her your feedbacks, via mail or via phone, whatever means is available on the book for you to do so. Okay, so I said I was going to dwell a little bit on last week's topic for today. Dealing with sexual incompatibility as couples is something that shouldn't have been an issue, except for the fact that we all are made up differently. So for the person who said to me that there's nothing as sexual incompatibility in couples, you're mistaken. We are all wired differently. Every single one of us built differently, and therefore the way we approach issues will definitely be different. Okay, so one of the issues or one of the examples she gave last week was where you have a couple where one of the couples decide they prefer to have sex with lights on in the house, and the other couple feels like, no, 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 please, I want everywhere to be dark. They feel it's more romantic when it's dark, while the other person feels, no, I want light. I want to see all the expressions on your face. I want to see your body. I want to, I want to view you. I want to see and know what I'm doing to you. I want to see if it's getting there or not. You have a situation where there's a clash and you're wondering, how do we deal with this? Mrs. Mojishala last week actually said something about the both couples trying to meet themselves, the couple rather, trying to meet themselves somewhere. You could decide, okay, for today's episode of our show, our show, so to speak, let's have the lights on. And then next time, let's have it your way. Somehow you find that you strike a balance. And who knows, the person who does not like light may eventually in the long run discover, oh, it's not really a bad thing. It could be because of their upbringing. It could be because of their background. It could be because, a lot of things have had to come into play in their lives that make them decide, please, I don't want light. Let's just leave the light out of the whole thing. This is just one aspect of some of the issues a lot of people face when it comes to sex in their marriages. All right. Okay, so having said that, if there are other incompatibility issues you or someone has experienced in their marriages, I'd like you to leave us a comment. You can send me a personal mail, a personal chat, inbox, and we'll be addressing it. Somehow, it looks like before the end of this season, we might have to do a little bit of sex talk, because I've come to realize that most Christian marriages suffer as a result of this topic. It's easier for people out there to discuss this topic than for Christian couples too. And the unfortunate thing is that Christian marriages are suffering. Christian marriages are suffering a whole lot because they cannot face or broach the topic of sex. They just feel it's one of those things that we have to do. Okay, and when it's time, if I stretch my hands, if she responds, fine. If he responds, fine. If he doesn't respond, and somebody is dying inside and can't seem to be able to discuss with other people what they are going through. Okay, so if you have issues that you'd like us to discuss concerning this topic, questions that you'd like to be broached concerning this topic that you'd like to be dealt with, please drop them in the comment section and I'll get to look at them and reach out to one or two people and see who can come deal with this topic for us. And then if you feel like the comment box is a little bit too exposed, please send me a message inbox and I'll deal with that topic. God bless you all. Okay, so for today's episode, we're having a guest, somebody I call Bo. Most people know him as Bo. He's a friend, he's a big brother, he's a coach, he's a trainer, corporate trainer. In fact, his Instagram handle is Bo the corporate trainer. He trains people in the corporate organization on how they can enhance their potentials and their productivity in the workplace. So today, in the next few minutes, we'll be having Bo come on the show to discuss with us on challenging workplace norms. There are those norms in the workplace that sometimes when you try. In fact, when I was discussing with him earlier, I wanted us to discuss on breaking the glass ceiling. What is it that won't allow you make a headway? What is it? Those things that won't allow you make a headway in the corporate organization, in the organization where you work. What are those things that are challenges to you? You strive, you're striving, you're working so hard, yet it looks like you're not doing anything. You're trying to break even, you're trying to break out, you're trying to make a mark for yourself. You're doing all your best, yet it looks like your best is not noticed. Okay, so today we're going to be dealing with the topic challenging workplace norms for productivity. God created you, it is his intention that you are productive. The Bible says in Genesis chapter 1 that after God made man, he said to him, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, and have dominion. Those are like the 4 core things that God designed for us to do. He said, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, and have dominion over everything that God has created. So it does to say that God created you to be productive, highly efficient and effective in the purpose that he called you for. And so if there are things that are not allowing you to be fully productive, we're going to be discussing some of them today and how you can harness the potentials within and around you to get into the place of full productivity. Okay, so I'm going to be waiting for a few more minutes. In about 3 minutes, Bo will be joining me on the show, and I'd like you to know that it is not a regular interview, it's a chat. Okay, sometimes it might look like one is just talking, playing, trying to make light the situation, but pay attention. There's a whole lot that you can achieve, that you can learn from being on this show with me every other Thursday. Okay, I have a bit of a cold. You may have heard it in my voice, but it's not stopping me. Hey, we move. All right. Okay, so hang in there with me. In the next 2 minutes, Bo will be joining me on the show. So, like I said when I started the show, if you're here with me this beautiful Thursday afternoon, it's a beautiful Thursday afternoon here in Lagos, Nigeria. I don't know where you are and what the weather is like, but I do hope you're having a beautiful day. If you're here with me on the show, I've seen quite a couple of people coming on the show. I'd like you to drop a comment, drop an emoji, drop a heart, drop something that would let me know that you're here with me this day, and so I can give you a shout out. Thank you for all the encouragements I've received in the past 9 weeks. It's been amazing. Without your encouragement, I obviously may have even stopped this journey halfway. Thank you for the pull, to keep going, the push and the pull. Yeah, because I have those that are pulling, that are saying, keep coming, and then I have those that are pushing from behind, saying, you cannot stop at this time. You just have to keep going. You're doing a good job. Thank you, amazing people. God bless you. And I love you. I love you. Thank you so very much. Okay. Okay, so we're still talking challenging the norms, workplace norms. We're talking challenging workplace norms. What are some of the norms in your workplace, in your organization? And I hope you know that your organization is not necessarily if you work in a very big oil company, even though that is also there. It's also any place you find yourself. trying to fulfill purpose. That's your organization. So what are some of the norms you find as a challenge in your workplace? What are some of the things you've had to deal with? Are they, I do not want to even try to get into the topic at all. I'll have to wait until my guest comes on. Like I said, it's a chat. And so when we get talking, some things to be unveiled that we'll have to deal with, in the course of the chat. Okay, it is 1:15 p.m. And at this time, I'm bringing in my guest. Bo has been standing by. He's been standing by. Yeah. Okay. Bo is standing by in the building. I'm getting set to bring him on. Are you ready? Are you excited for what we're going to be learning today? Are you excited? Are you ready? Hey, Bo. I think he's doing his final checks. Mic check. Mic check. Okay. Righty. Okay. I think I see him in the building. I see him in the building.
Good afternoon.
Bo. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon,
Good
ma'am.
to have you on.
You too also.
Welcome to my show. Good to have you on, sir.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so very much for honoring our invitation.
Thank
Okay, sorry that we had to drag you out the busy Thursday afternoon to come on the
that's
show, but I know that God has prepared some people to hear you, people who will listen to you and it will benefit them. Okay, how have you been, sir? And how's the family?
I'm doing great. And you?
I'm okay. God has been faithful. I have a little bit of a cold. Got beaten by the
That's
rain
fine.
some 2 days ago, and but here we are.
Yes.
Okay, so
Awesome.
it's good to have you. It's good to have you. Okay, so I've been talking to my audience some
Okay.
about 15 minutes before you came on the show, and then I've tried to
Okay.
introduce the topic to them as challenging workplace norms. Before we go on, I'd like you to introduce yourself. Nobody can introduce you better than you, right?
Okay.
Hey, I just turned motivational speaker right now. Nobody can introduce you better than you.
That's awesome. True? And that's
Okay,
true.
so yeah, okay, so
Yes.
let's know who Bo is and what he does.
Okay, thank you. My name is Gbenga Ogunlela. I'm a pharmacist by profession. I'm also a certified human resource professional. I'm a member of several bodies and found myself training at several organizations on several fronts, depending on what is required per time, capacity, and I deliver value alongside the workplace environments on several fronts. So that's in brief who I am, basically. And I'm passionate about,
Amazing,
um, yes, about success and delivering values consistently. Yes.
amazing. Let me quickly add that Bo is married to a very beautiful one wife. He's husband of one wife and is blessed
Yes.
with multiple kids, many kids. Um, three that I know, and there's so many other spiritual and three that I know. Okay. He's been a friend and a brother. He's been there. When I say someone has been there, he's been there. You know, when you need some kind of encouragement when you're almost losing it, and you run to this young man, you'll be sure that you get some words that will drive you, you know, that will keep you going. And that's why today God, it has pleased God that he'll be here discussing with us. Okay, so I'd like us to delve quickly into the topic for the day. The topic today is challenging workplace norms. I thought after we had the discussion, we chose the topic and we felt, okay, this is what we needed to talk about today. I kept thinking to myself that what is the relevance of this topic today? Let's start by talking about the relevance of this topic today. Why should we discuss challenging let me I don't want to go more than that. Why should we discuss challenging workplace norms?
Okay, first and foremost, the professional terrain has been challenged by many factors.
Okay.
Before now being COVID being the acceptable norm now or the new normal, and those challenges that have confronted the workplace are on several fronts. Um, Sometimes lack of skilled personnel or available personnel but lacking competence. But the COVID
Okay.
terrain has changed that norm. Now you have a lot of working from home, which was not the norm before. And it's sort of also got organizations to right size. And definitely that impacted on the staff strength and also decision making process for most organizations. Now, sometimes the worst hit are the people who are at the point of delivery where pressure on them to deliver as regards their KPIs, key performance indices. And it was more important at this time that these people deliver consistently so that they are valued and upon assessment, they are retained by the organization, having been able to deliver value in view of the changes that organizations were putting in place. And it's not just in our climb, it was a global phenomenon. So there is that changing need to actually confront the norms that are prevalent in the workplace to be able to ensure that productivity is the order of the day.
Amazing. Okay, so we live in times, okay, like they say that change is the only constant thing in life, right?
Very true.
And
Very true.
sometimes you discover that some people find it very difficult to move with change, just like we discovered in the past year, even now. Okay, with the COVID
True.
that happened, it was a whole lot of challenge for some people to adjust, you know, to
Very
what a
true.
lot of people have called the new normal. Okay, so most
True.
people, nobody knew, nobody was expecting, except maybe the people that created,
Exactly.
like, okay, let me not say
Exactly.
what I don't know right now. Maybe
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
people who created the whole whatever situation, and
Yeah.
even they, I would want to say, may not have known the extent it would go. So most people were not prepared for this change, and so when you
Very
discover that change happened to us, it now became an issue of where do I find myself on this on in the whole spectrum of change? Where do I find myself? Where do I fit in? How do I continue to keep up?
very
You know.
true.
Okay, so what do you think? Like we've said that change is one of the things at the core of challenging, the norms. Change is one of the
Yes.
things at the core. Another thing I want to bring up at this point is the fact that sometimes, yes,
Yeah.
there's a place where someone feels like they want to do things excellently, where excellence
Mhm.
is at the core again of
Yeah.
trying to keep up with, with the time, so to speak. So
True.
the next question I'd like to bring up at this point is, what are some of the norms that are in place? What are some of the norms, workplace norms that can, stare one in the face and make one feel like, oh, this is not where I want to be. This is, what I want to do, before we talk about how to go about them. I don't know if my question is quite clear.
No, it's very clear.
All right, sir.
Prevalent norms. As you have people different, so are
Yeah.
their intentions, right? Now,
Yeah.
there's this norm. When people strive for excellence in the workplace or seek to go for productivity beyond what has been assigned to them, as it were, going the extra mile, if you
Mm-hmm.
put it that way. You have people who just believe, let's be mediocre, let's deliver what it is that we
Okay.
can within the ambits of what is given to us, and not going the extra mile, basically. So you have shoddy jobs, you have deliverables made not clear, or you have tasks not executed with that touch of excellence. I'll give an example. Someone sent me a private mail some days ago, and the blunders there were so much that I had to
Mm-hmm.
ask the person that, is this what you actually sent to the other person involved? And the person said yes. And there were some
Mm-hmm.
basic tense errors that you wouldn't expect, And then there was also attached a PowerPoint slide attached where there were scattered images that were not aligned. And so you
Mm.
find out that there is this, let's just do it. But there is a statement or phrase I got in touch with recently that actually changes a lot of that. And I work assiduously to ensure that what I deliver per time has that hallmark of excellence, consistently
Amazing.
trying to make improvements. Now, the statement goes
Mm-hmm.
thus that every work, every work done or every job done by you is is a framework of you. It's a hallmark of you. So
Mm.
stamp your work with excellence. It's
Amazing.
very,
Thank
very,
you.
it's very vital.
Mm.
So don't consider that it's just going to reach that person. It may reach that person and some other person and some other person. And the truth is,
Right.
it's not your organization or your department that will get the fall for it alone, but you, the
Mm.
executor of that
Mm-hmm.
task. You've
Mm-hmm.
stamped your brand knowingly or unknowingly. And I'd likely right to say, I'd like to say rightly at this point that making a decision to deliver excellence and not making a decision in your delivery is still a decision. And it just shows who you are,
Amazing.
basically. That's it.
Right. Amazing, beautiful. Okay, you've actually outlined a couple of things, and that last statement about you, whatever you do, not just impacting on the organization, but also impact. It tells a whole lot about your work. There's this video on YouTube, where Bishop T.D. Jakes. I don't know if you've seen that video. Bishop T.D. Jakes and Pastor Stephen Furtick. They had a discussion. They titled "Don't Drop the Mic." Don't
Okay.
drop the mic. And there was something he said about excellence. He said, look at those people who, when they try to do a text, they try to send out a text message to you,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
ensure to edit it. Ordinary text message, oh, they ensure
I
to
can
edit it to
imagine.
make sure that they don't send something out, that has blunders, like you said,
Mm.
in them. So it's mark those people, greatness awaits them. I'm paraphrasing what he said now. He said those
Oh.
people at the core of their being, there's greatness attached to them, because there are people that like to pay attention to even the minutest details. Okay,
Mm.
I'd like us to quickly go into some of the reasons why people are not challenged in the workplace. What are some of the reasons you think that some people do not feel the need to challenge the norms, that make them feel, oh, I'm okay where I am, as long as I'm getting the paycheck, it's paying my bills? What are some of the reasons you feel people are just complacent, so to speak? And sometimes there's complacency that people do not know is there. I don't know if
Mm.
I should call
Yeah.
it is it potential complacency or innate complacency. as in that they do not necessarily want to question. It's there, they know it's there, but they do not want to be in touch with that complacency because it's a state of comfort. What are some of the things that make people just stay comfortable at whatever state or stage they find themselves instead of challenging the norms in an
Um,
organization?
I think it's two things. One, there's the
Okay.
part where you said, which is true, you are ignorant. There's nothing
Okay.
you're going after. You're not self-driven. You don't have any goals personally that you're after. Now, there's one thing.
Okay.
An employee may take up a job or a role, and there are responsibilities attached to that role. Now, it's
Okay.
two things. The employee can take on those job roles and personalize them, or just see them as
Okay.
job roles given by the organization, and just seek to actually get to achieve them, rather than challenge himself or herself to say, look, these job roles that have been given to me is actually challenging my potentials, my capability to do. And
Okay.
I will not want to fall short. And my falling short is telling on my personality. So I would tell on my
Hmm.
personality or my capability. So I would go all out to deliver. Now, your qualifications may get you into the organization, but your capability or
Right.
capacity gets you to deliver on the job and will also get you to stay there and be a candidate for future promotions, as the case may be. Now, if you will
Okay.
personalize the goals, match it with whatever your goals are, vis-a-vis the responsibilities given, the person gets to be more driven from within.
I seem to have lost goal. I seem to have lost goal. Um, please give me a few minutes to try to bring him back. Just a few minutes. My okay. While we wait for Bo to come back on the show, he's been talking about challenging workplace norms. And the last thing he was saying was about people not challenging themselves enough because of setting, maybe not setting goals, not setting goals for themselves. Okay. Um, I'd like to paraphrase what I think, what I think he was trying to say at that point. There are people that are just okay with where they find themselves in life. That there's this part where they say when life throws lemons at you, make lemonades. When life throws lemons at some people, they just keep piling up the lemons. They just keep piling them. They just want to know that they have lemons in their house. They are not making no lemonades out of them. There are people like that, and there are people that will go all the way to find out what else they can do with those lemons. Okay, they can find out how they can sell them, they can find out how to store them, they can find what else they can produce from lemons that could be useful to people and also bring them some profit in. But then we have these people that are just keepers. When they whatever they catch, they just keep. There's a portion of the scripture that says there's a set of people who bring in spoils but do not harness them. Paraphrased again. Okay, they do not know how to prepare the spoils. They just know how to gather them together and keep them in a place, and then they do not consider the part where some of those things can get spoiled in their hands. Okay, so in an organization you find out there are people who can be given a job, but they don't have a personal drive. There's no drive to want to do it beyond what they've been given to do. Their own is okay, you gave me this onion, you said I should take care of it. Okay, this is the onion, what else can I do with an onion? No, they are not thinking about it. Just like the last time we are talking, Bo and I, about this particular topic, something we touched a little bit on the story of the talent. There are people that in that story of the talents were given five. Somebody that was given 5 talents, somebody else was given 2, and that person was given 1. And between us we discussed that it was because of each person's potential. each person was given what they were potentially able to take care of. Okay. And so the person that was given 5 proved his master right by working, trading with the 5 talents, and then yielding 5 more talents. The person that was given 2 traded with his talent and yielded 2 more talents. But the person that was given 1 felt that it was too small. Have you ever stopped to think about it? That what if that guy had actually worked with that 1 talent and produced another talent, what do you think would have been the master's opinion of him at his appearing? We have Go back on the show, thankfully. Thank you. Welcome, sir. Welcome back on the show.
It's
Sorry,
great.
our network had to throw you out. It is
Sorry for the
well.
break in transmission.
It's
Yes.
okay, sir. Okay. So
So I was saying
we're talking
basically,
about, yes.
yes. So I was basically saying, there's a need to actually personalize the goals, and then it gets you self-driven. So you
Okay.
see it basically as a personal challenge, and you're seeking ways beyond the job role to deliver consistently. Now,
Okay.
what can also hinder an individual sometimes is actually the lack of capacity. You know, there's
Mm.
something about capacity building that opens your eyes to realize your work. And it's one thing I've learned from that school is humility is the only way up. Acknowledging
Oh,
that you
wow.
don't know and you need to know.
Mm.
You don't know
Mm.
everything, but that
Right.
humility to learn, unlearn, and relearn, and it's the only way you can get better. Now,
Mm.
I'll say briefly using those 3 powerful words: to learn, which means to gain more knowledge and insight to be able to
Okay.
deliver; unlearning, which is there are myths, there are belief systems, there are
Mm.
norms that have been put in the workplace that you need to unlearn.
Okay.
Now, your organization has not provided a way for you to train or improve. You owe it to yourself. Find somewhere to train.
Right. Right.
At a certain time in my life, I needed to upgrade certain aspects of my productivity, and I went after trainings. Some were paid for, some were free, but you don't need to see it this way. Because it's free doesn't mean it doesn't come at a cost. It costs
Mm.
the people to put material content together, to harness
Mm.
uh, uh, content creators and subject experts to actually impart that knowledge. So their
Yeah.
time is also a resource, so it's not free. Take those
Mm-hmm.
things, don't take them for granted, harness those resources, and build capacity to be able to deliver. At the end of the day,
Right.
what is seen is your ability to deliver and not where you learn from. And then lastly, relearning. You may know, but like they say, until you do, you don't know. So you relearn what it is that you have learned so that you can deliver better, or bring those things that are not so at your fingertips back to your fingertips so that you can deliver on the go, as it were. And these are the
Amazing.
challenges of the day that appear in the workplace.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing again, sir. Okay, so there's a
Yeah.
comment in the comment box that I'd like to read out because the brief period we had that glitch. I was trying to talk
Yeah.
about the parable of the talents. The
Yes.
guy that was given 5 talents, the guy that was given 2, and the person that was given 1, and how they did not use it. So this comment in the in comment box will bring me back to the guy who was given 1 talent. He said some people won't challenge themselves and go the extra mile because they feel they will not be appreciated. Okay, can we link this to the parable of the talent, the guy that was given 1 talent? Did he at some point feel that this organ, because in his statement when their master returned, okay, he said, I know that you're a hard man, you know.
Mm,
He probably was a hard man, not just to him, but to everybody. But there
yeah.
was something about these other people. What was it about this guy that made him feel he will not appreciate me at the end of the day? So why do I need to trade? I don't know. I don't know. What was it about this guy? Because this comment here says people feel they will not be appreciated, so they won't challenge themselves and go the extra mile. How do we address this person's issue?
Okay, first and foremost,
Yeah.
um, Now, everyone loves to be appreciated. But the
Right.
truth is, sometimes, even for whatever effort or labor or sacrifice you give, you just may not get the requisite or commensurate appreciation.
True.
You
Very
make
true.
you may kill yourself, figuratively speaking, and still not get appreciated. However,
Right. Mm-hmm.
you can appreciate yourself first. You must be content in yourself first
Okay.
before accepting any appreciation elsewhere. What do I mean? You
Okay.
need to see that every task given to you, you would go all out, available, and seeking beyond what is not available
Okay.
to push the your confines or the barriers till you get the job done. I'll give you
Okay.
an example. There was a time when I was carrying out a job for an establishment I was working with. A client required a particular product and item, and that day I was just about getting to Oshodi at the time, and the rain started. Now the rain was building up so much that it was difficult to actually move. And the client had told me, I need this item from your company because the patients are there. Now, there are two things I put to bear. I can actually call the client and say, yes, I cannot come. And he would understand because indeed it was
Mm-hmm.
raining.
Mm-hmm.
But I also found out that there are two things. For any time I do not carry out my role, I'm working for the competition
Okay.
inadvertently.
Mm.
And I'm giving room for the competition to take over.
Mm.
I
Mm. Can
have
you
that.
please say that again? Can you please say
For
that
every
again?
for
Yeah.
every time I do not take on my role or task as I should, I am working for
Right.
competition inadvertently or unknowingly.
Wow. Wow.
So rather than give that space out into a filling station close to where I usually buy fuel in Shodi Axis, and I
Okay.
pleaded with the manager that please could I park my car here. At that time, bikes used to
Okay.
still ply Lagos, and I took a bike from that place in the rain. I put the item
Wow.
in a nylon bag. I actually didn't even have an umbrella. That's the truth. I got into
Wow.
the rain on the bike, and the bike, I told the bike where I was going to. It was near Luth. I went
Okay.
under the rain and I delivered this thing. Now, the woman said something that I am grateful. Thank you for coming in the rain. Yes, she paid me for the products I came to supply, but she said something which was not what I actually expected. She said, for the mere fact that I was able to um, come in this particular condition or
Deliver.
whatever,
Mm.
and deliver. I got this message the following day that the husband said he'd like to see me, who is the
Wow.
manager of that company I supplied, and got there and said, look, what other products does your company supply would like to be buying from
Okay.
you? And I
Okay.
tell you that that opened up business opportunities for me beyond what I expected. That is the truth. So you never know what the opportunities that lie ahead are. However,
Right.
in solving a problem, there are two things. You can actually take in the but in every problem lies an opportunity for promotion, either
Amazing.
personally or in the workplace. So um, it's easy for you to say, yes, I have just one talent. The other guy has three talents.
Mm.
So you'll be well appreciated. He has more opportunities to succeed. No, that one talent
Mm.
that you have, brand it, develop it, train it,
Mm.
make it more
Mm.
vivid, polish
Wow.
it, publicize it, love it, give it all
Wow.
the training and development that it requires, and you will get there. And that I
Amazing.
can tell you. I want to move on to a second example as I just end this clause. Um,
Okay.
at the time, I wanted to learn how it is to maneuver the PowerPoint slides. I didn't have that
Okay.
experience, I didn't have that capacity. And I was working with someone at the time who similarly knew how to navigate through the PowerPoint. And I would ask this individual, and the individual would say, don't worry, you just, it's about moving your hand over this. It's just putting the slides there. And the person never showed me. And one day I sat while working on the field and I was talking with a client. And the client talked about how he came to Lagos to start up business and he didn't have any support technically or someone to cheer him on. And he told me that if I'm the only one first place and I didn't have anyone, would I not survive? And so that
Okay.
stirred him up to want to deliver. And that
Mm.
encouraged me. He didn't know he was speaking to me indirectly. And I sat and I said, this PowerPoint, I will get to learn it on my own. I started
Right.
learning on my own before I got professional help. By
Oh,
that
wow.
time, it was just touching up on the things that I've learned. So never say never, and never say you're inadequate or you don't have enough. Start
Amazing.
from where you are.
Okay.
Start from where you are.
Amazing. Start from where you are and don't look down on any of the potentials that God has deposited in you. And don't look
Exactly.
down on any potential that you may have picked up along the way. Don't think it's
Very
not me,
true.
that's not who I am. Because you
Very
may
true.
pick up some
Very
things and you
true.
never know they might actually be the things that would
Very
distinguish
true.
one eventually.
Very
Amazing.
true.
Okay, now that we're talking organizations and workplace, I'd like us to also quickly touch on, especially using the same example of the guy with the one talent, okay, to encourage somebody who is facing the challenge, boss kind of challenge. My boss is a difficult person. I can't seem to be able to break through because my boss is a difficult person. Everything I do, he does not seem to. There's nothing I do that he likes. That I do not want to use appreciation because I feel you've dealt with the aspect of appreciation. Sometimes you just do those things for yourself because sometimes you never know you could improve on yourself so much that you may not be appreciated where you are, but it will be in the next place that you go to or that you find yourself that appreciation finally comes from. So I'd like us to talk about difficult bosses at this point. I know that's another topic on its own, dealing with difficult bosses in an
Yeah.
organization. But can we quickly just bring it in? How do we have somebody who is dealing with a supposedly difficult boss, and it's hampering on their productivity in the workplace?
Okay, first and foremost, I think on that, um, first one is to understand the frame of reference from which the boss, as it were, is coming from. Now,
Yeah.
having worked under several bosses in the course of work career or the workplace,
Okay.
I understand that each boss has what he or she requires. And
All
sometimes
right.
it's not that we don't have what it takes, or it may not be that we're completely incapacitated to deliver, but we haven't
Okay.
just aligned our deliverables with the expectations of the person we're reporting to. Now,
Okay.
you may find out that there are certain ways or reporting patterns that your boss may require. Learn them, try and adapt what you have learned. Now, you
Okay.
cannot have two captains on a ship. So
Right.
you must understand that there are times you are under authority, there are times you're in authority. At the
Mm,
point where you are reporting to your boss, you're under authority, regardless of the gender. As
right.
a man reporting to a woman, masculinity is not it. You are reporting to your superior, period, and find out
Right.
what the requirements are. And it's not a
Mm,
case of your state or status. I am
mm,
being treated this way because I am married. I am being treated this way
mm,
because I'm single. No. There are requirements in the workplace which you must understand. It's a corporate environment
mm,
and they have
right.
ethos, they have cultures that define what the workplace is like. So you
Mm,
must understand that. Now, um, those things will define how you operate. You have people, you have bosses who say, I want your slides sent in a certain format. I want your reports in Excel sheets. I want your reports
right.
in Microsoft Word. I want the mail attachment done via done to Outlook. I want you to use
Okay.
maybe say a maybe you to use that for enterprise solutions. I want your
Okay.
reports in a certain format. Find out what these
Okay.
report formats are and build capacity along them. I'll give an example.
Okay.
There was a time that someone I know in question and in the organization we were working with at the time sent their mails by Outlook, and this person, from where he was coming from, had never engaged the Outlook environment. And so
Mm,
there was always that conflict until I said, why don't you humble yourself and let him know I am not proficient in using the Outlook environment and I would need some help.
okay.
Now, the very moment he was able to do that,
Yeah.
he discovered that she was not as difficult as he thought. Meanwhile,
Mm,
he was thinking that she didn't like him or um, he had this notion that, okay, because he was from a certain catchment area, so that is why he was being addressed in such a way
Difficult.
until he built
Okay.
capacity.
Okay.
And then she was aware that he didn't know. He now provided someone from the IT unit to take him through some tutorials on how to use the Outlook environment. And from that point on, it was a lot easier. So you may have one talent, yes, but you must not also see that as a reason not to deliver. Get
Mm,
close to find out what the deliverables are. When you report
yeah.
to line manager, area manager, head of admin, head of procurement, finance, whatever it may be, and then build requisite competence to be able to deliver in that capacity. Then you would be said to be aligning and then be able to deliver, because when you don't know where to achieve. I mean, you don't know where to address and you don't know what to deliver on. That's basically it.
Amazing. Amazing. As we begin to wrap up this discussion, it's been an interesting, informative one. I'd like us to quickly talk about how one can build themselves. That's basically what we've been talking about, actually. Okay, but I'd like
Yes.
us to address the fact that some people do not actually remember that they cannot work in an organization forever, and that they need to be building capacity for the future. Sometime at some point you need to retire. Okay, so and what would you be doing with yourself at the point of retirement? You know, if it comes to that, what would you be doing with yourself? Okay, so what if it ever comes to the point where people are asked to stop working, what we call entrenchment or downsizing or right sizing, like you said, what would I be doing? What capacity have I built that can, that will make me feel like I can still take on my word? I remember our pastor used to say that, Pastor Sam used to say that if all the everything he has today burns to the ground, just give him his books, that he will still build from the scratch. You know, there's only something that can give someone that kind of confidence. Okay, so what do we say to somebody who is working today who feels that, oh, I want to be here for 50 years, and when I save up enough, I'll retire, build myself a small home, and then live there till I die. What other, because we're talking productivity now, productivity does not end at the point where someone retires. You still, there's still something you have built, where I do not want to start answering my own question, because I know I know you have the capacity to. Okay, so what I'm looking at is the aspect that somebody has built enough capacity that even when they stop working, they have retired, they have been entrenched, or something happens, they are able still to pass on this knowledge that they have to other people in a consultancy position, so to speak. I'd like you to speak about that. How people can build their personal capacity such that when the workplace is gone, they are still able, to be useful, to be productive to themselves and to others. As we begin to wrap
Okay.
up.
All right. First and foremost, how you do anything is how you do it. There is a proverb in local parlance here in
Okay.
Nigeria that says, "A lizard in Nigeria will not become an alligator abroad." It simply means if
Ha
you've
ha
not
ha.
built the
Nice.
capacity on one front, um, moving to another front, you may not be able to become anything other than what you've been previously. Not because there are no
Right.
opportunities to grow. However, if you have a work-life balance culture, it will go with you wherever
Okay.
you are. If you
All
have a
right.
learning culture, if you have an excellent culture, if you have a good mannered culture, if you have a good interpersonal relationship culture, it's what you
Mm,
grow with, it's what you would transport with you where you're going to. Now, um, values grow alongside what you value, and it is
right.
what you can
Mm,
move along with regardless of where
mm,
you find yourself. Now, diamonds retain its value regardless of where it goes to, because
mm,
of the core nature of that item and what it has gone through. It has built
mm,
capacity. So wherever it finds itself, it will still retain that value. Now, the
mm.
truth is, not everyone will recognize that value, because value recognizes value and
Right.
will place a premium on value anytime.
Mm.
If you walk into a shop where they sell a Bugatti, a certain price range. If you walk into a place where they sell a Mercedes, it's a certain price range. If you walk into a
Right.
place where they sell some other brands that are not premium, it's a certain price range.
Right.
Now, value is dependent not on the location or geography, but on its makeup, on its content. The
Okay.
value of a good is not in its container, it's its content. What value have
Mm.
you built while working in the corporate environment that you can carry on post the work environment to still deliver value? So you have people who have retired but are not tired because
Mm-hmm.
there is still value delivery outside of the workplace. And
Right.
so it's not just a function of age. Age may come up because it's statutory, there's a culture. Say
Right.
people retire from the workplace at age X, but because their
Okay.
value is there, they are still relevant outside of the workplace. And so, because they may not be actively engaged in the work environment, having a 9 to 5, they've gained experience through the things they've suffered to be able to deliver pathways of direction and solution for those who are still actively engaged in the workplace. Now, the truth
Mm.
is, someone said something that I learned and I've tried to imbibe, even though I got the learning late. Anytime you wake up this morning, the person says
Mm.
the competence and capacity you get while working actively in corporate service is a seed for your thereafter. What you
Wow.
do with it
Yeah.
is what matters.
Mm.
Both the salary you earn, both the experience you gain. Um, the essence of capacity building is to be able to deliver not just for the organization you work for, such that you either move on from one stage of appraisal to the next, but improving your brand. If you check through
Right.
brands that have stayed the test of time, whether it's your household needs or your healthcare needs, they rebrand per time. They either
Right.
improve the content within, they change the container, they improve the color, they improve the presentation, they improve the communication. There is constant development and constant capacity development of building such that it retains values through generations. There are
Mm.
brands that are still relevant today because they have choose to die, for lack of a better word. They keep improving.
Okay.
To improve your
Right.
value and brand appreciation within the workplace, through the workplace, and post workplace, where you become either a consultant or a consultpreneur, as the case may be, you must
Okay.
ensure that your value creation and delivery does not die. It's a lifelong journey. I'd like to say you need to
Amazing.
establish a culture of capacity development, build that
Right.
culture, develop and grow that capacity with people of like minds who encourage
Mm.
and foster the need to
Mm.
develop that growing capacity. Have what is known as a Kaizen mindset,
Okay.
Kaizen mindset, a mindset
Mm.
that seeks constant delivery and improvement on strategies that get you to deliver. Then take informed risks while working, because it is what engenders you to consistently deliver and be goal driven. And then just seek relationships that improve your ability to deliver, whether
Mm.
within the workplace and post the workplace. You maintain relevance regardless. And that's one way to stay relevant consistently.
Amazing, amazing. It's been an amazing time today. There's a whole lot that has been, given out in the course of this discussion, and someone like me would need to go over, listen again, like I do after each show. Take out time, listen again and again, because as you're saying it now, parts of it are, immediately being digested, and parts of it still need some time, to be ruminated on before, the full meaning gets fully entrenched in one. Okay, so it's been an amazing discussion. I would have really wanted us to talk about other dealing with other people working with us, colleagues in the workplace, and how they affect our productivity. I don't know if you have time to quickly talk on that? If you don't, it's okay. It looks like I don't know if you have time to quickly talk about dealing with other colleagues in the workplace. If you have a minute to quickly talk about dealing with
Yes.
and not allowing them affect, because sometimes there are people that come to a particular workplace already, they do not have a good self-esteem, and
Yeah.
they are trying, they put up a front, and then somehow somebody in the workplace, a colleague or somebody, just tries to get to the point where they break down through the veneer of their what they've built up to cover up their lack of self-esteem, as it were, and then it gets to them, and before you know it, is a downward spiral. How do we help someone who is dealing with a low self-esteem but is trying to cover up in a workplace to maintain a healthy self-esteem, or to stay focused in their place, to build, to gain productivity and all that, irrespective? As that, I think that's the last question and the last point before we call it a day.
Okay, first and foremost, there's no need to feel um, feel disenchanted or feel or have a low self-esteem. We are all
Okay.
learning. We are all at several levels of work. So we're all work in progress, right? Some people have just been able to have learned the art and be able to master certain aspects of their personality and are able to deal with a lot things with things a lot more productively.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
all about learning. You at one stage does not mean you can't get to the next stage, but it's
Right.
a little step at a time. Brian Tracy will say, "Eat that frog." So take those things that seemingly look a bit, start to chop them. Somehow you get over them. I heard a saying once by someone that um, bites more than you can chew, and then start chewing it. So you have a low self-esteem. Don't let that erode your confidence. Start by finding out, why do you have that low self-esteem. Were there previous experiences? Your background doesn't have to put your back on the ground, literally. You can start from
Right.
there and rise above it and become who you want to be. Go and find out someone's success story, someone similar to where you're coming from. Learn what they did to get to where they're going through. The circumstances or situations may not be the same, may be similar. You can pick one or
Mm.
2 points and adapt them in the workplace and seemingly get better. Never say never. The people who
Right.
become the CEOs, the top dons or doyens of industry, have also come from somewhere and they walked
Right.
through the mire to get to where they're going to. And you can do the
Mm.
same. It's possible. Very
Amazing,
possible.
amazing,
Very
amazing.
possible.
Thank you so very much, sir. Thank you for your time
Thank you.
today. It's been a whole lot that we've shared here today. And if you're just joining us on the show, I'd like you to go back and start from the beginning and get everything that we've had to discuss today. We've been discussing challenging workplace norms for productivity. And my guest, Mr. Gbenga Ogunlela, has actually done a whole lot of justice to this topic. In fact, in more ways than I thought possible, than I thought we could cover in this short time. Sometimes when I first started the show, I used to look at it that 1 hour, would we be able to? What are we going to be discussing in 1 hour? That is such a long time. But now that we started, you discover that most times when we get talking and when I get discussing with my guests, 1 hour seems not to be enough, really, to cover everything that we need. There are still some questions that could come up even in this discussion, and there's some other things that we could actually touch. But because of time for our guests, and then for those that will be viewing later, it's data that we born in this part of the world. I'd like to keep it this short so that people can actually make out time and learn the things that we have shared on this show today. Thank you so much, sir,
Wow.
for giving
It's a
of
pleasure.
yourself, of giving of your time and sharing from your deep knowledge of what you know about the topic. God bless you, replenish you. And I hope that next time when we do need to call you to come back on the show, that you'll be willing to come talk to us. Okay, it looks like I have lost him again. Have I? No, I've not. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to be letting my guests go at this time while I wrap up on the show. God bless you all. Please help me appreciate my guest as he gets set to leave the stage while we wrap up the show. Okay, so that has been it. It's been a beautiful, beautiful episode today discussing workplace norms, challenging workplace norms for productivity. Okay, so you do not have to hold on to that talent that God has given to you and say, oh, my boss is a difficult person, and blame the people around you that they are the reason why you cannot actually achieve what you set out to achieve. Set personalized goals, set personalized goals, set those goals. And when you do set them, there's something Pastor Sam used to say when he asked us to set goals for the new year in Daystar Christian Center. Okay, so we set goals every other end of the year for the coming year. And then he says set goals for 10 years, he says set goals for 5 years, and then begin to address little ways that you can achieve those goals. In most cases, you discover that people have big ideas, big dreams, what they want to do, but the how to do it is the factor that is missing most times. Okay, so there are several ways that you can find out how to meet those goals, how to meet those set targets. Learn from people around you. Go on the internet. You have the word in the palm of your hand, in the palm of your phone. A lot of knowledge has been shared there by other people. Use those gifts that God has placed on the internet to find out how you can be productive in your workplace and in your own life. Okay, it's been an amazing topic. Please don't let it stop here. Go on, listen to this video again. And then if you're just joining us for the first time, if you're just joining us, please, I'd like you to go on my page, on my wall, on Peace Obuagu Abaimu. Look for Talk with Peace Live. We have, as of today, 9 topics that have been treated on this show. And I'd like you to look for them, listen to the videos, drop your comments, drop your suggestions, your encouragements, share the video so that other people can see. It's a show that will be going on. We have about, I think, about 4 episodes before we round off this season. And I'd like you to stay tuned because next week we'll be coming with another guest who'll be bringing on something different for us. I'd like you to, somebody's coming for my week. No problem, ma'am. It's all yours for the asking. Okay. Thank you all for all your encouragement. Thank you for your love. Thank you for being there. Okay, every time I come on live with you guys. God bless you. God bless you. Till I come your way again next week, Thursday, by God's grace. Remain blessed. I love you all.